Naked News. This is episode 11. We're now past 20,000 views, probably about 21,000 as I speak. We got 50 subscribers. Yay. We have a guest tonight, Jason Kronk. He's a pretty entertaining dude. He's going to fill us in with some of his opinions on some current topics that we found. You might notice, too, that Glenn's camera is going to swap back and forth. We're going to figure out something for that next time, but we'll just roll as we are for now. So Glenn might not have his pretty face on there as much as usual. So we're going to start off with lethal driverless cars. So this is a BBC News article. The FBI says Google's driverless cars could be lethal weapons. There's stuff in there about not having safety maneuvers and worrying about people that are going to have shootouts from their cars while the car is driving them in their getaway vehicle and so on. It's pretty basic stuff. They just want more details to it. What do you guys think?
Well, first off, I think the fact that the police are kind of concerned about it is half truth, half not. Because I think that if you had a driverless vehicle that was all automated, the cop cars would just need a kill switch button. That's all they would need. And boom, the car stops rolling.
Well, there's got to be some kind of a kill switch there. But the biggest thing I want to say is, how much is it going to cut down on drunk driving? That's one of the biggest things the police have to spend a lot of their time doing. So if we get rid of that, that already frees the police up to do all kinds of cool things like car chases where people have automated cars that they can shoot from, you know?
Well, I think
it balances out.
In some of our other episodes, we talked about driverless cars, I think, before. But it was one of the ways we looked at them, too, being useful is for disabled people or elderly people that instead of having to call a taxi or the handy dart or whatever to get them around, now they have that ability to live their own life, right? There's a lot of benefits to these cars. Yeah, they do need probably more features put into them to make it work for everybody in what they're doing, right? But it is definitely a good idea and it's a good direction to go. It just needs more collaboration from all the different parties like the police and government regulations and whatever you want to put in there for speeding and limits and everything else, right?
I don't think there's very many other directions it can go for driving. I'm pretty sure that the next step is driverless cars. That's what we got.
Oh, it's coming. I saw a table on it. By 2017, they're going to have cars that can go, or driverless cars that can go highway speeds. And then a couple of years past that, there's more features coming into them. So the chart, the way it looked, is they were adding steps. By like 2015, they'll have cars, driverless cars that people can get that go 25 or 30 miles per hour, or whatever those kind of speeds. So like up to 50 kilometers an hour kind of idea, which is good for like in the city driving. But then they're going to get developed so you can go to the next town over and so on.
So I think you can take a road trip. Yeah.
I think that's going to be interesting. I also think it's going to have a huge impact also on, some cities where the police and the city really rely on speeding tickets and other types of citations when you have all these automated vehicles, because they're not going to be breaking laws, And so basically you won't need to have as many traffic police.
Yeah, well,
there'll be no reason to have traffic cops anymore because you'll have automated cop cars and automated driverless cars for just the regular people. And the transaction between the two, it won't happen because
they'll be able
to be automated.
They'll be able to focus on different areas, which will actually be a good thing because that takes away a lot of people from other stuff that needs to happen. You guys sit up a bit, Glenn. Yeah, but yeah,
I've always said that if I can't have flying cars, I want a car that drives itself. That's just my opinion on it.
Flying cars are coming. We talked about a hover bike. We talked about a hover bike a few episodes ago. By 2017, there's a hover bike you can get. What was it, for 75,000? Was that the right price?
Somewhere around there.
So
around there, yeah.
Hover bike.
That's the one you can buy into right now for some godly amount of money that we don't even know if it's gonna be made.
But
no, it's gonna be made.
It's being made.
It's just the fact that do you want to put down that much money to get this bike in, 4 years?
Yeah, it was 3 or 4 years, 2017, so yeah. But the fact is that stuff is being made, so it's coming. So up next, we have a bit more of an entertaining article: wind turbines to cause fewer bird deaths. So what's going on here is apparently right now, each wind turbine that's out there creating power for all of us to use for our computers and watch this video and so on is killing 5 to 8 birds annually. And there's a lot of wind turbines out there, so overall that's a lot of bird deaths. So what they want to do is build a larger turbine. It's going to in turn create more power, have larger blades on it. But so far, with the tests they've done, that hasn't stopped any more birds from dying. It's actually caused more bird deaths.
Doesn't seem like progress.
No, and this would be a big money project too, right? Like, I can't imagine the wind turbines are cheap individually, and to be testing bigger ones. It's they've done stuff like IR lights to distract birds. They've tried painting them funky colors so the birds can see them coming.
We still use firecrackers up here in Alaska at the airports. We use firecrackers to keep them away.
Well, that's what people do to get birds off trees. Like at my mom's place, there's a woodpecker that's killing a tree there, and they keep throwing firecrackers at the tree to scare the woodpecker away.
Oh my gosh.
But now think about that. You've got this wind farm. You want a guy just driving around throwing firecrackers out of the side of the truck?
Why don't they just build them like giant fans where they have these big old grills on them?
I could see that being very expensive, and then a lot of different engineering would go into it. They could. Like, I mean, that is an option, but it doesn't seem like a good option.
But I mean, how much could it really cost to make a bird filter? Per se,
just squish them out through it.
Yeah,
What I think is people should be embracing this and eating the birds. Like,
I think that we need a wind turbine that runs on birds.
that
would be even better, maybe.
Oh, nice.
Remember we were talking about the robots that are built and powered by eating other animals, and then they've got robots that eat each other. So now we're getting into that scary situation again of this wind turbine is powered on living animals. What happens when that wind turbine falls over and just keeps going and starts eating up the town?
Oh man! No, they just need to make them like giant Dyson fans. Those big circle fans that have no blades. The turbine blades are on the sides. So it's a big hole, so the bird just like flies, ricochets right through it.
It launches them.
Rocketed.
It launches them out at high speed. You know what?
Yeah, the bird's so confused because it ends up in a different state.
Well, one of the concerns with the taller turbines that the article was saying is that it's going to catch more birds that are like migratory birds or the predator birds that are up higher looking for animals. So you can imagine like an eagle or a falcon going through that and be like, "Fuck yeah, I'm going so fast! Woo!"
But then you're gonna have some people up in arms. You're gonna have a lot of people up in arms if you're shooting eagles at such speed. This is America over here, not just Canada.
That would be amazing. having eagles just rocketing across the sky.
That sounds like
the Eagles would adapt to that, and then they would sooner or later take over. That's the problem.
That sounds like an American shirt. Just have like this eagle like rocketing across the front of it.
But the thing is,
turbine.
Its wings would like snap off, and it would just be this torpedo with a razor sharp beak coming at you.
America.
I'm okay with this idea. I think eagles should be more American, and they should be able to fly faster and subsonic, you know.
Yeah. So that's we got some ideas. Okay, trademarked. We're coming at you with that wind turbine.
Gotta get a Kickstarter going, and then we'll do the business.
We just need to buy a lot of those Dyson fans and start experimenting with small birds. You know, like go to a pet store. We don't condone this. Go to a pet store and get like a bunch of little budgies and see how fast they go.
This time, guys.
Okay, so up next, the next article, Glenn, you can talk about this one, is the big fucking holes.
Yes, a mysterious giant hole suddenly appears in Siberia.
Yeah.
There was a giant hole that appeared in the middle of the ground. It was huge. This thing is a ridiculous size. I think they said it was like 262 feet or about 80 meters in diameter. And it has burn markings around it on the edge.
Aliens.
What?
Aliens.
It's got to be aliens for one. It's got to be aliens. But if it's not aliens, I do gotta say, haven't we had sinkholes in this world for
Yeah. Well,
millions of years?
in the serious side of the article there, it was saying something about how there was supposedly a sea under there. It was like an underground type ocean thing, and it just eventually gave way like any other sinkhole, right?
Yeah.
The better way to think about it is that it's aliens.
Well,
I
and I'm
think
sure a lot of them are up in arms because it is aliens. A lot of people are going to think that. That's just how they
And
think.
and then the Russians are saying that it's a sinkhole. You know, they've got it covered
I'm
up.
surprised they didn't blame it on us.
I think the Russians are experimenting with energy weapons, and they just kind of fucked up.
Well, remember
Sorry,
they
Russia.
they started
I'm
working.
sorry.
They started working on those Tesla towers. Remember last week or whatever it was.
Yep.
There, we started talking about
That's
those
true.
giant Tesla
Yeah,
towers.
look. Yeah, a week later, now you got giant sinkholes.
Yeah,
Well,
they.
and it's not like we're not creating earthquakes by fracking right now in America as well.
This is true.
If you believe that,
If
I
you,
do.
If you believe that.
That's a matter of opinion.
That makes a firewater.
But they're
Not the good one.
Russia is doing some crazy stuff. You know, they want to make enough power in one lightning bolt to power the world, or at least Russia in one little zap.
Yeah, they got
Could be
one
caused-
giant hole now.
Could be that one giant hole.
If it's got burn marks, it does. That would make sense. That's a good theory.
They fly over this thing with a helicopter, and this hole just looks endless.
They should go down in it with a helicopter. That'd be sweet.
Well,
I
now
think that's a
proved
bad
that,
idea.
like one guy does. That's probably not a bad idea. I did that in Grand Theft Auto one time. I just went into a hole with a helicopter. It was no big deal. I lived.
Yeah, see, it can be done. If you can do it in a video game, you can do it.
It can be done.
Didn't your mom ever tell you not to go deep into any random hole that you see?
No, I've gone caving lots. I don't listen.
She just said to be safe if I do. That's all.
Safety.
Put on your rubber suit.
Anyways, next article, Glenn, you can talk about this one again. Is the one good screw?
Yes. There is a watch created by manufacturer Swatch, which they are a Swiss company and have been around for many, many, many years. This specific watch is called the System 51, and it is held together by one screw, and it contains, 51 parts. 51 moving parts, and that's it.
So they use glue?
No,
They
one
got
screw.
something. There's no way.
One screw. That's it. This clock or watch was created by robots.
Okay.
Well,
Pretty sweet.
there's the problem right there. It's created by robots. That's one step closer to the Matrix right there. And I don't know if I like that. I'm going to boycott this one.
Well, then you must have missed out our talk about the 3D printing plane that's going to poop out robots that are run on animals. All our topics are kind of meshing together now, it seems like, from all of our shows. Things are starting to make sense now that we've been doing our research.
Yes.
There you go.
If you connect the web, it will create this picture of what the future is going to be like.
Robots that lie to you and eat you.
That one screwed watches. I don't know if I like it.
Now, we'll have links and pictures for you guys if you go to the YouTube channel. You'll see this crazy watch, and it comes in a few different colors. I think it's like red, black, white, and blue.
It actually looks
But
pretty
it's
cool.
it's a really nice watch. It's roughly around $150 US.
It's actually not a bad price for a watch like
That's not bad at all. And
No,
honestly, I might even wear one of these. And I
Yeah,
hate watches.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool looking watch. Yeah.
So, up next, after you go and buy your cool watches, Swatch, you can thank us later. Netflix Canada is going to be apparently the first to run Disney movies on its own. So these will be, what the article was saying, coming up in 2015, any Disney movies after that, 8 months after they're out from theaters, they'll be appearing on Netflix Canada. I like that. You know, Star Wars movies are coming out. I like Star Wars movies. The other Disney movies, you know, like my kid will like that a lot. But yeah, I think
But
it's
you're
cool.
Canadian. You're Canadian, so
well,
of course you like that. I
But
mean,
but think about it this way: I can't use Hulu, I can't use Amazon, I can't use like those 100 other like streaming services. So
okay.
yes, thank you for once having something come to Canada first.
That's true. I'll give you guys this one. I like Disney movies. I'm a big fan. I think they're fantastic. But honestly, it's only a matter of time before the Americans get all up in arms about it, and then they
Oh
want
yeah,
it too.
they'll be cranky and they'll be like,
I'm
I
sure
want that.
they're gonna cry. They're gonna cry. There's gonna be a lot of crying from Jimmy Joe and Billy Bob and all of the guys.
Oh, forget those guys because I'm already going to be upset because I know the one thing that comes with Disney will be Marvel movies, and I love my comic book movies.
Who doesn't? Those are great.
Yay, Canada.
I will be upset. I will be upset and jealous.
Well,
You just wait till I get Billy and Jimbo with me.
well, then just use a VPN. Just use a VPN. You know, that's your solution. Start using Canadian Netflix, and everybody will be flocking to the
Exactly.
Canadian Netflix. But don't do that. Well, whatever. Yeah,
Actually, everyone should use a VPN anyway. So there.
That's true.
it's a smart way to
If
use
you're
the
not,
internet these
if you're
days.
not using one, you need to get on that bandwagon.
You
Learn
can
it.
Google that actually. I think there's probably
Yes.
a YouTube video on how to do it. So
Yes.
There's apps that do it for you on like tablets and smartphones. So
there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. If you got Windows 8, you could probably get a little app to do that too.
If you have Windows 8, I feel really bad for you anyways.
hey, Windows 8, I like it. I'm like apparently the one person out there that likes Windows 8, but I think it's great.
He is Canadian.
That's a Canadian thing.
So, next article. This one is pretty unique. So, this lady in Tokyo has been arrested for selling 3D printed models of her vagina.
I'm all for it. I think she should be allowed to do that.
Well-
I feel like she should be allowed to model her vagina any way she pleases and sell it to whoever she pleases.
That's what a good chunk of the world probably thinks, and they probably think it's.
If-
But in Japan, they have their laws about putting anything crude out there and selling it. That's the way they do business, right?
Japan has laws about being crude. That
Ye-
surprises me the most.
There's-
That should be a real topic.
Well, you gotta remember, they're a little bit different. Sorry, Japanese people, but you're different. Glenn, why are you not saying this stuff for me this time?
Hey man, I'm just letting you go buck wild this time. I think it's about time they took the heat off of me for a while.
Japanese laws for this kind of stuff, they're pretty messed up. Just they're pretty fucked. Yeah. So, what she was trying to do was her fundraising goal was to raise money to build something called the Minoko boat or Manbo, essentially pussy boat. She wanted to make a boat shaped like her vagina.
I would sail in that boat.
In the pictures where they've got a little toy in it.
It's pretty good. It's a pretty good picture. I'm looking at it right now.
It looks like she's trying to make a canoe.
I
would kayak.
want to be in that. I
Canoe and
all
kayak,
over.
yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a kayak.
So a vagina kayak.
If you
And
really
you
want
just-
to be the envy,
And you just
everybody
snuggle
in
up
the
in there, you know.
This
Now,
is the one.
what would that look
She
like?
should've she would have gotten away with it if she just made sleeping bags.
True.
Now imagine you see a bunch of people kayaking in these, and you're flying over top, and you're like, what the hell is that down there? You got all these people sticking out of vagina kayaks. You're like, this is kind of weird.
That's amazing. I want a vagina hammock that I can just hang inside of it.
Would it be that weird in Japan to fly over a vagina kayak, though? I don't think it would be. I think in Japan that would be completely accepted, and they'd be okay with that 100%.
Apparently not.
No, they're not okay with that, but they're okay with like places where you can get tied up and just like left there, or places where you like want to go and pay people to cuddle with you.
You know, if you want rope
This
and
is weird.
cigarette
I watched
burns, there's a place for that in Japan.
I watched a documentary on those cuddle cafes. That's something different. You can pay the girl to clean your ears out with Q-tips as part of it.
Shit, I can't even get my wife to do that.
Well, go to Japan.
I can't even get myself to do that. So.
Go to Japan,
I'll
and
pay myself to
when
do
you're
it.
when you're laying on her lap, when she's dressed in whatever you want her to be dressed in, you can pay her a little bit extra. She'll get the Q-tips out, and she'll like pat your head and start cleaning your ears out for you.
Oh my gosh.
It's different,
It
No.
sounds fun.
I'll take my vagina boat any day over that.
but you can't have the vagina boat.
In America, we can have whatever we want.
That's a fact. Oh no.
Oh yes, okay. That one was a different article. I thought I saw that. I'm like, you know what, the guys they're gonna get a kick out of this article.
That's a good article, and
Bravo.
honestly, I'm all for it. I think she should do it. I think I support her 100%.
And you know what,
Good for
coming
her.
coming from a North American standpoint, I don't get why it's so hard to do something like that. You know, if somebody's got an idea, let them build it. If they fail, they fail. If they don't, they don't.
There you go. There you go.
So our last article for the night is 3D printed ice cream. So an MIT student created a 3D printer, but for ice cream. It's got a compressor, a liquid nitrogen container, and a container of soft serve ice cream. And so this is supposed to make actual shaped like ice cream treats. Pretty cool.
How can this be bad? That's what I really want to know. How can 3D printed ice cream really go bad?
It's
I
not
don't
a
think
bad,
it can.
not a bad idea. You know, instead of having that big freezer full of all the pre-made treats for you, you just like, okay, I want a star today. Okay, I
Exactly.
want, you know, a ball today of ice cream, and just go from there.
In 5 years, when I run into a machine that will 3D print a whole bunch of ice cream for me, I'm going to put my money in there. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it every time.
Yeah. And Glenn, you were saying you saw articles about 3D printed other food like pasta and stuff.
Yes, I did. But speaking about this is the original, baby. This is how it happened. This is what started it all right here.
Have you ever had
Was the
freeze-dried
ice cream? Yes, and you know what? I had it from Kennedy Space Center.
Ooh.
And you know what?
And how was it, though?
It was dry as hell
Uh-huh.
and crunchy. But you know what? Once it got moist in my mouth,
Not so bad, right?
no.
Yeah.
Like many other things. But going back to the fact of speaking about this, I just want to say they had pasta that would normally take a person, let's say, 30 minutes to prep and then 45 minutes to cook it, right? They had this printer that was printing out this pasta pre-made, ready to be eaten. You just needed to heat it up, I think something like 5 minutes.
That's
And
it.
done. Boop. Done.
Okay, now I can jump on board with that, too.
Instant spaghetti printout.
That right there, that's a moneymaker.
That's amazing. Instant pizza. What?
More power to the food 3D printing. That's all I gotta say. I'm all for it. Let's do it.
It's gonna
Let's
be
do
like
more of it.
soon. It's gonna be like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where she puts her face in the little scanner and it tells her what she was thinking of.
It'll be great because then, you know what? You can go to your lunch break and hit a button on the machine and instantly, boop, there's a hamburger.
Food
that
courts?
is 3D printed. Yeah, you won't even need employees anymore. You could just have like 3D printing food courts.
Well, actually,
And
it's
that
'cause-
also raises a big issue too. I mean, how are people going to find work anymore?
well, you know what? I think we talked about this before again in another episode where they were going to start using robots to replace taxi drivers and fast food workers at some point soon.
But that's like a lot of entry level jobs.
That is actually a lot of jobs. Like you think about it, that's income that quite a few people rely on. It's not great income, but it's what people need, right? So what are they going to go do now? Because they're probably not going to be qualified to service those robots.
And I'm pretty sure they're not going to use the Lyft app. I've heard a lot of bad things about that too lately.
What's the Lyft app?
It's an app that you can get on your phone where people can actually have you come give them a ride and they pay you so much money. So anybody can be a cab driver now with an iPhone app. That's what it basically
It's kind of handy.
It's like
That's kind of creepy.
Yeah, well,
it's like the
that too.
Craigslist of car driving. It's terrible. It's a terribly terrible idea.
I think it's a liability issue.
Well, I guess there's been like a lot of sexual assault going on with that whole thing too.
I
So
wonder why.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
There we
yeah,
go. Holy cow.
until robots can sexually assault us, I'm all for all of that. But I don't know. I don't think we should be taking a lot of jobs away from a lot of people.
What about if they already
Wow.
can eat you though? That's worse.
Oh,
Hence, we get back to the Matrix.
It's coming. It's coming. Yeah. So robots are good and bad. Moving towards the bad in a lot of ways, and moving towards the good in a lot of
I
ways.
think I think in more ways they're moving towards the bad than the good. But that's just me. I'm one guy.
We
That's
won't
my-
we won't need to reproduce soon because they're just going to be making new baby robots, and then they'll grow up and.
I'm gonna be the optimist and say that it will be good because it will force humanity to continue to try to improve itself. Because once robots take our jobs, we're gonna have to figure out what to do with ourselves, and it can go one of two ways. It could go the really bad way, which you guys are talking about, or it could go the way of just really expanding. You know?
Well, there was an article I was reading not too long ago about people with degrees and going to school, college and university and that stuff, and how there's more degrees now, but there's less work for people with degrees. So that kind of defeats that purpose of people improving themselves because people are doing that now, but they still can't get the work that what their goal is, right?
Yeah.
But then what do?
They go and work at those fast food jobs now that they're going to be
That's-
taken over by
Yeah.
robots.
That are going to be taken over. Well, I mean, the drink machines at McDonald's are already robots. I mean, that's 1/10 of the job right there is pouring the drinks. Now they don't even have to do that. So it's really happening slowly, but it will be happening.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. Yeah, people are going to need to improve themselves, but people are doing that now, and they still can't make it work.
I don't necessarily think that we'll have to worry about it, to be honest. I think there'll be a lot of jobs that'll be gone, but at the same time there'll be new jobs that'll need to be filled, and they'll create the need for it.
At
You
some
know,
at
they
some
talk about
at some
Sorry.
point, somebody's going to have to step aside and realize, like, okay, well, now that we have all these robots, we have all these people that can't afford to use these robots, so we gotta, like, something will have to snap, right? Like, one side of it's going to have to break before the other. Like, do people not have money, or do people not have jobs, or do the robots replace like the non-essential jobs or something?
Well, now, if you have completely everything run by robots, what would you even need money for in the first place? We should all be living like kings.
You got to be
We
able to
should
get those
be.
robots in the first place, though.
Should be.
Yeah, but you got to pay, exactly. You got to pay for those nice things. But here's the thing. Here's a kicker, guys. Something to throw around between the two of you is, okay, so we've got all these robots doing all this stuff, and there's no more jobs anymore. And, we're worried about this energy crisis. Here's an idea. How about we get people to go to the freaking gym, okay? We get them to work out, and every piece of equipment that's in that gym is powering the power grid. Okay, so you got all these people working out. They're getting healthier.
Matrix.
They're getting good bodies. And at the same
How many
time, they're
people in
powering
America have you
very
met?
free.
How
I'm
many
telling
people in
you,
America have you met? 10% of America is going to be able to do that. The other 90% is not.
But
so listen.
So what you're saying
if
is
you don't
want,
have a job, you're gonna want to do something to get out.
okay, but what you're saying there is you want the people to be the batteries to power all of these robots. Did that not already happen in a movie?
Yeah, but that was not
Yeah.
that was not a positive way of it happening.
So what happens to the people that can't go to the gym and do the workouts and all that stuff? They just gotta plug them into a machine and be like, "Yeah, we're using you,"
No, they'll just become web developers.
or they'll
Yeah.
just send they'll send the
No
robots.
robots can do that.
They'll send the robots after them to eat those people to add the extra power.
Yeah. My original idea was to do it to the prisons first and see how that went. And
Well,
then
that's
once
not a bad idea.
Well, no, instead of just having them sit there and watching free TV and getting fed, great meals all the time in prison and, doing other prisonly things. I
Like
think they should be
working out.
actually active and doing things.
I bet the meals aren't that great. From what I've seen in prisons, I don't think they're too
I
excited
don't
to
think
be
they
in
are
there.
either.
You haven't had bologna sandwiches here, okay? So I don't think you're one to judge, mister.
Some of the food I've eaten, which is not too far of a step off from prison food, is doesn't get you going very good.
No, not at all.
That's true. That's true.
Is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we end this episode?
Yes. Yes, there is.
Okay.
This new Alien game, I do want to talk about this because I'm excited about this damn thing. And I don't care what anybody says. I know every Alien game that comes out sucks. And thank you, Sega, for making it always suck every time.
What about the
ruined
early?
it for me.
What about the early Aliens games that were, what are they, Sega or SNES? Those were
The
all right.
scrolling ones?
Yeah,
There
the
was the
scrolling
one
games?
arcade game. I think they ported it to NSNES. It was Alien versus.
Yeah.
That was a good game.
No. The other one, the one that you could actually be Ripley, and you were like side scrolling, and then like
yeah,
kind of like
I
it was like a
remember
weird
that.
contra angle. They had that one too. That was pretty fun.
I
That
remember
was
that
also
one.
another good one.
But that could also
But
be our
that's definitely
skewed memory of
arcade
that was a good one back then, and now we're probably like, that's a piece of shit.
Yeah, kids are not. No. Kids nowadays are not gonna like that. But
Yeah.
this new Alien Isolation game, I am really hoping that it's awesome. I'm gonna get it. I've decided I'm going to get it and try it out, record some shots from it, and we'll post it.
I want to
talk
try
about
it. I want to try it, but I don't believe the hype. I'm not going to believe the hype, not because I don't want to, but because I've been burned too damn many times.
I don't believe the
Oh,
hype in
man.
most games anymore.
No.
No.
They've just ruined it for us now.
There's
I mean,
very
don't get me
few
wrong.
games.
Don't get me wrong. Every single game that comes out, for the most part, looks amazing because I'm actually using a computer to play it on.
Yes.
PC Master Race, always.
That's very true.
But-
Always PC.
Always
man.
PC Master Race. But the quality of the stories have just gone straight to hell.
Well,
Well, they don't have time for story. They got to work on all those fancy graphics that everybody wants.
And
to
now,
see.
And the
now I'm the other
AI,
way.
too.
I'm the other way though,
Oh.
because most games, like games that are actually based around a story, I can't be bothered to pay attention to the story most of the time.
See, I can. That's what I grew up doing. Was paying. That's why I played RPGs when I was growing up.
But
I loved the story. I didn't give a shit about the game. It was the story that got me going.
and now I'm kind of the other way. I love those games, but I just can't get into the story. There's a couple that I have, but it's something with me is I just can't keep the focus on the story, and I just want to go bash things.
But I mean, read some of the good ones. Have you played Sweet Coden or Final Fantasies or any of those?
I
They
played
got
Final
good
Fantasy.
stories.
I could not focus on the story. I'm like, this is just taking far too long.
Where
is
you
the
just
passion?
have ADD, buddy.
Maybe a little bit.
You might have enjoyed the chocobo racing in Final Fantasy VII, but I don't know if you'd enjoy the rest of the game.
I tried. I played through it, but it was hard to focus.
And maybe that's the
Indeed.
problem of Canadians and the world today.
I think that is. It's the attention
It's
to
the
that.
attention
You know,
span.
you can't keep that attention anymore. It's just, you know what? I'm tired of this. I want my gratification right now of this other feeling.
It's not that. I like shorter games now because the story isn't so in depth. Like it's not 100-hour game, right? It's like a 6 or 8 hour game where it's more like you're in a movie type thing. Those ones I like.
But
You know what I really-
they have a lot of indie games that are beautiful story. Like if anybody's ever played Banner Saga, great
Ooh.
game, beautiful artwork. That is just a work of art.
Yeah.
Games are transitioning into an art form nowadays.
I'm waiting for
And
that
that's
to get out
what
on my
it should
tablet.
Crush, what's that
You
game we're
got
playing
to.
right on that last indie game we played together?
Oh, Battle Block Theater.
Battle Block Theater.
Fantastic
So much fun.
game.
That is a really good
Great.
example of a story that's easy to
Great.
focus on because it's got the best cutscenes,
Fantastic.
funniest jokes in it too. The narration's great, but then you jump right into the actual gameplay, and I'm like, okay, this is good. I like these sweet little bits of story, and then you go to gameplay, and then get through the next chunk, and then there's another awesome bit of story.
Yes, and the humor is so over the top.
Oh,
It is
beautiful.
It is so perfect. That game is so much fun.
And that's that guy, I
aggravating
think his
as
name
hell,
is Stamper. Yeah,
It,
he's a great guy. That guy's friggin'
Oh,
genius.
it is so hard to play that game with you sometimes. I'm just like, stop killing us. Stop.
I'm-
Stop.
Yeah, but that's not the fun.
Oh, it frustrates the hell out of me so bad, but I love it. It's like the husband that beats the wife, and the wife just can't get away from it for some reason. I'm the wife in that game.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was episode 11. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We will be back at you with another episode sometime soon here. Hopefully you enjoyed the company of Jason Kronk. Maybe we'll have him on again at some point. All the links will be in the description underneath this. And talk to you guys later.
Peace.
Later.